Does the use of hooks make it more convenient to develop React applications? Let's find out. To get started, let's clone a Git repository at a convenient location on our computer. So let me say git clone github.com jmopala ConFusion React 16.3.1.git. So as you would expect, this React application is implemented using the 16.3.1 version of Git, which is the latest stable version at this moment. And once the application is cloned to your Git repository, we can go ahead and open it in Visual Studio Code. Also, this application requires the JSON server to be up and running. So in a different terminal window, I am launching the JSON server. Those of you who have taken my React course on Coursera know how to use the JSON server. So let's go ahead and launch the JSON server. Watch db.json minus p3001 minus t2000. And you all understand these settings for the JSON server. And once the server is up and running and serving the resources, then we'll be able to go and launch our React application. Let's switch back to the other terminal tab and then move into the ConFusion React 16.3.1 folder that we just created by cloning the Git repository, and then do an yarn install. And once the installation is complete, let's go ahead and launch our React application. And once that application launches, you'll be able to see it in the browser. And for those of you who have taken my React course on Coursera, this looks very familiar because it's exactly the same application, but now implemented using React hooks. I have used Material UI to style this application rather than using React straps. So that's why the user interface looks slightly different from what you have seen in the React course. But let's examine the details of this application. So this application works exactly the same way. We can go to the About Us page, and then you will see all the information listed there. And when you go to the menu, you will see the menu items listed. Click on any one of the menu items, and then you'll be able to see the details of each of the dish, just like before. And then the Contact Us page, where you can see the form that we created in the React course. And then you can log into the system by opening the login page. Of course, this doesn't work at this moment because we haven't set up the server for authentication. This is pretty much the exact same React application functionality that you have seen in the React course. Now, what is different about this version of the application? As I said at the start of the video, this version is completely implemented using React hooks instead of using class-based components. So I've used only functional components in the entire application. Now, if you would like to see more details about the application itself, you can look at the GitHub repository. In the GitHub repository, you can look at the commits for this repository here. So you will see that I have 27 commits, and commits all the way starting from the initialization. And then we have the components, the first assignment, lifting states up, header and footer, the React router, single page application, controlled forms, uncontrolled forms. And then instead of using the React Redux form, I am using React hook form. And also you would notice that in this version of the application, I am not using Redux. Instead, I am using the useReducer hook in order to implement Redux-like functionality to manage the state there. And also you will see the fetching data from the server and React animations and so on all the way up to assignment 4 solution. Now, I have structured this application in pretty much the same order as I have done in the React course. So you can pretty much see corresponding exercise versions from the React course, but now implemented completely using only React hooks and using the useReducer hook instead of using Redux. So if you would be curious to find out how each of these commits work, you can look at the commits to see the changes that I have made in the application itself. So you can see the details of each of the commits to understand exactly how things have been changed. And hopefully this will also help you to understand how to make use of hooks for implementing a React application. And as I said, the step-by-step implementation is pretty much mirroring the set of exercises that I have in the course, but now implemented using purely React hooks. Going to the source code of our application, let's take a quick look at the package.json file to see what all packages I have used in this application. So you can see that I am using React 16.13.1, and then also the React DOM here. And then I am using the React hook form for taking care of form management and form validation. This is a pretty straightforward and easy to use package for managing forms. Also, I am using React Router DOM in this case, for the single page application implementation and routing. And then I am using Material UI to style the application rather than using React Strap. Going to the source code of the application itself, the app.js file is where the root of the application is. And in here, you can see that I've used some custom hooks here. These custom hooks are implemented inside this folder called state, where you can see this file called confusion.js, where I have used the useReducer hook in order to create the state management part of the application. So you can look at the source code here to understand how it is done here and the details there. So in case you're curious about how the implementation is done, now you would see that there is a lot of similarity between the way the code is written here and the way the action creators and the action types and so on that we have implemented in the Redux version of the application. So I have used the useReducer hook in order to recreate my own version of a simplified version of Redux in order to demonstrate to you that we don't really need to use Redux for managing state for simple applications. We can get away with simply using the useReducer hook. Also, the components themselves, you would see that all these components are implemented using, hooks, and also most of these components are implemented as functional components. I don't have any class components in this version of the React application. I just wanted to do this exercise in order to show you that you can very easily implement a React application without using any class components. So if you don't like class components, by all means discard them and then make use of hooks and functional components to structure and implement your application completely. Now, as I said, I am using Material UI for styling the application. So the way the code is written, where I use the Material UI components for implementing the various functionality, is slightly different from the React Strap that you have seen in the React codes. But I am sure it should not be that difficult for you to follow what is going on in this code once you have gone through the React course. Finally, links to all the packages that I've used in this application are in the description of this video. Also, the link to the GitHub repository is provided in the description of this video in case you want to download the Git repository and try out exactly what I have demonstrated to you. And in case you are curious to examine the source code, by all means, browse the Git repository to understand how I have implemented the React application using hooks.